This is your iPhone 13 Pro Max, and this is the money you spent on it. This is what you could have gotten with that money. Was that a mistake? I don't think so. Let me explain. So this is a Canon EOS R. You can pick one of these up for around $1,500–1,600, the same exact price as my 1TB iPhone 13 Pro Max, in which I'm filming on currently. In this video, I want to talk about not necessarily why cameras like this are a bad choice, but more why spend the extra money when you're already holding something that is more than capable of doing a lot of the same things. Since our iPhone is currently a little bit under budget compared to the EOS R, let's go ahead and close that setup gap. We're going to add the brand new Beastgrip for iPhone 13 series, as well as gonna add a Sennheiser MK200 mic that you're listening to right now. And we're using the Beastgrip 𝗦𝗪𝗙𝗙 wide angle lens attachment. More on that in a few minutes. Add in a handle, and we have ourselves a pretty awesome phone setup. So when we start comparing these two different setups, we need to get the obvious out of the way. There are some clear differences between the two that definitely side on the mirrorless camera, right? The sensor sizes of phones is still incredibly small, even though they get bigger each year. Also, you have the ergonomic. I know. Okay, the audio in some of these clips gets a little crunchy. I was dumb. When I plugged in the mic to the phone, I set it to 100% gain for some reason, but I promise if you wait till the end, I think you'll enjoy all my reasons why shooting on a setup like this, when you know how to properly calibrate the audio, is a better choice. Back to me talking about ergonomics. So unless you're using a setup like this, which is kind of rigged to make it easier to hold and have a nice microphone and other accessories attached to it, holding a phone versus holding a camera, obviously ergonomics are different, and the build quality. Phones are very strong and they're made of metal and all that fancy stuff, but it's gonna break probably a lot faster than the magnesium alloy and rubber coatings that DSLR and mirrorless cameras have on them. All right, so let's talk about this specific setup a little bit more. As you guys know, I love Beastgrip products for their durability and flexibility. I've said it every time I review the new version of this Beast Cage, that it is not an everyday carry sort of case. This is a dedicated case for filmmakers and anyone who just wants ultimate protection for their phone. So the other big pro to using this cage is the ability to use lenses. Now, Michael, why would you use lenses when the iPhone has 3 lenses built into it? You have your ultra wide, your wide, and your telephoto. I think we all are aware that all 3 lenses are not created equal, not even close. In anything besides perfect lighting scenarios, the ultra wide is just kind of dumpster fire trash in any sort of low light. And the telephoto definitely has gotten better, but still I don't use it that much. Now, since I can't see myself because there's no flip out screen to this phone, I just kind of have to trust that I'm in frame. And normally with the wide angle lens of the phone, I get myself pretty good. But with this Beastgrip 𝗦𝗪𝗙𝗙 ultra wide lens, I know for a fact that I am plenty in frame, plenty in focus, because obviously autofocus. And so I don't really have to worry about that. So for vlogging or any sort of filming where the composition is not needs to be exactly a certain way where you can't see the screen and you just need to film yourself, having this wide angle lens is awesome. And it allows me to use the wide angle main sensor of the phone's camera, so that way I'm getting the consistency of the best sensor, the best color, the best glass on top of this lens. And the same thing that goes with the Beastgrip 2X telephoto lens is I can get those telephoto shots while still using the main sensor of the phone, giving me the best results possible. All right, so what are the pros to using a mobile setup like this with your phone? First one's kind of a pro and a con, depending how you look on it. That is built-in media. So media can be very expensive. You have to make sure that you buy the right card for your mirrorless camera to make sure that you can record in all the various formats and frame rates so that you don't have dropped frames. But in a phone, of course, the internal memory and the internal recording is going to work out just fine. And something like this iPhone that we're talking about is 1 terabyte. And so that's not a bad deal to be included in your $1,500 camera. Similar to the media, this one's kind of a pro and con, and that's battery life. Batteries inside of phones, even with recording, I find last much longer than recording with a mirrorless or cinema camera. But of course the con is it's not like hot swappable. I can't take out the lithium battery in here. You could just as easily hook up a external drive and basically record forever. So I'm keeping it on the pro list because I think battery life is a lot easier and cheaper to fix on a phone and get kind of infinite power, so to speak. Man, is it windy. Hopefully this windscreen is doing justice. So you know how everyone talks about with their different cameras, good and bad menu system. So Blackmagic, I think, has the best UI of any cameras out there. But whatever the case is, you buy the hardware and you're kind of stuck with whatever software, right? Well, when you're filming on a phone, you use apps. So you can change your filmmaking UI to many different types of apps out there. Of course, we're using the Beastcam app right now. You can use the stock app or any other third-party app out there to film based on your needs, wants, and just overall preferences of the design. So I think that's a huge plus, because if new apps create new features that you didn't have before, that can be better than just your average camera software update. And honestly, here is probably the biggest reason to film on your phone, and that is the direct to social component. When you film on any other dedicated camera, you then have to take that memory card, put it in a computer, edit something together in software, and yeah, now you can post to social media. But in today's world where you need to be recommended posting like 4 times a day on TikTok, a couple times a day on Instagram, stories and IG reels, then you got Twitter, and then of course you have the full YouTube video or whatever platform you're posting your longer form content on. There's just a lot of places to post and a lot of things to do. And so the fact that I could film something on my phone right now, vertical or horizontal or whatever, turn around, edit in whatever app I want, and then post it directly to the social media without ever having to leave this beautiful spot, that is a huge plus to creating way more content, way more efficiently. So here's the thing, I'm not saying that mirrorless cameras or something like a Canon M50 or whatever it's called is totally useless. All I'm saying is that we've already spent so much money on these totally awesome phones that are capable of so much more than what we give them credit for. And even if you own a cinema camera or a more expensive mirrorless camera or something like that, these are a fantastic B or C cam, not only for your films, but to shoot social content for behind the scenes, or basically think of them as like specialty cameras. Again, going back to the fact that they're fully waterproof, if you were filming a scene, maybe like if I was filming a scene over in the river over there, that I would shoot the majority of the above water stuff with my Blackmagic pocket cameras, and then when it was time to do those like underwater shots, rather than renting or having to buy a multi-$1,000 underwater housing, I just jump in with my iPhone. I've seen so many people in my comment section talk about how they only use their phone to film everything, not only like family vloggy stuff, but also short films and commercial work and just all sorts of content. And for someone like me, it took a long time to kind of open up to filming things on my phone because I couldn't look past the tech specs, right? The smaller sensors, the no flip out screens, the technically lower bit rates. Something like this iPhone does so much software, computational photography and filmmaking in the back end of the phone that it just gives you an unbelievable image. I mean, the fact that the sun is directly behind me, but I know for a fact that I'm gonna still be pretty well exposed, and then I turn this way and it corrects. Like the HDR it just looks great. And this entire rig and setup, I mean, I've been doing like 5-minute takes holding this thing up, and it's gotten decently heavy. I mean, again, it's solid metal, but having that handle makes it so much more comfortable and more bearable to do. For a quick outing like this, it makes for a really pleasant experience. Everyone's always telling me, Michael, this is a phone, treat it like a phone. I'm sorry, but phones being phones ended many years ago. These pocket rectangles are expensive as full-on laptops and tablets, and I want to constantly push what these devices can do to make sure I get my money's worth. If you made it this far into the video, then I bet you do too. Speaking of expensive things, if you want to figure out why I'm not buying the latest Apple Mac Studio and instead going to be keeping my cheese grater from 2019, check out this video over here.